All right, here's the live stream message. Thank you, Scott. And again, good morning. Welcome all, especially you YouTubers out there and all the Zoomers that are with us here. Happy New Year to everybody. I'm Commodore Harvey Randall, and this is our January kickoff board meeting. We will be doing a couple things today, a couple items of business, but we also have some special guests with us today, and we'll be getting updates and remarks from them very shortly here. First, a little item of tech housekeeping. Please mute your mics and cameras. Cameras are off if you are not speaking. So that way it saves bandwidth and electrons and all that other good stuff, right? Also want to remind everybody that all documents that we're going to be discussing today are posted on your OneDrive account, and you do have to log into the member zone to get to that. Okay, shall we start with the Pledge of Allegiance? And any member would like to volunteer, please do so. There's our flag.
All right, Harvey, I'll start it.
Thank you, Tom.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to ask Ruth to do the roll call. Ruth is substituting today for our DSO SR, which is an open position. We'll talk about that a little later. So go ahead, Ruth. Let's see who we have here today.
Okay, Commodore Harvey Randall.
Here.
DCOS Sonny Thatch.
Present.
Immediate past Commodore Thomas Mullally.
I are here.
And assorted other jobs. DCAP East Rob Kumpf.
I'm here.
DCAP South Timothy Derry.
Present.
DCAP West Peter Gabinski.
Aye.
Division Commander of Division 31, Rick Hamilton has called off, and Dan Groenendijk is here.
That is correct. Present.
Great. Jennifer Austin, Division 33 Commander.
Present.
Division 35 Commander J.R. Kulik. I didn't see John Saran. Are you stepping in for him?
Yes. Present.
Okay. Vice. Okay. Division 37 Commander Craig Feldy.
Present.
Is it Feldy or Feld?
It's Feldy. Thank you.
Feldy. Okay. Just want to make sure. Division 39 Commander Sean Landa.
Present.
Division 41 Commander Timothy Cooper.
Present.
Division 43 Commander John McDonald.
Present.
Division 45 Commander David Rappy.
Present.
Division 47 Commander William Meehee.
Yes, I'm right here. Thank you.
Fabulous. I think that's the whole board.
Very good. I'm looking through the participants. I don't see that our DSO LP has joined us.
No, but
Is Steve Young out there somewhere?
I know he's in California somewhere.
Okay,
I
All right.
can guess you got a quorum, Harvey.
I'm pretty sure we have a quorum. If the record will
well,
show
everybody's here. Yeah.
that. What's that, Ruth?
If everybody's here, that's quorum.
That's quorum. Okay. Just like to have it officially announced, but that's okay. We're good. All right. So Let's get back to the agenda. I will introduce our guest. And at this point, I see Commander Gibson. Our Commander Gibson is who recently joined us last year, about middle of the year, as the Director of Auxiliary. And he's located in Cleveland. He will be giving us some updates from district. So welcome, Commander.
Thank you, Tomo. Nice to be here again, and hopefully in the future I can meet in person. That's at some point in 22. That's the goal.
That would be great.
Commodore Malala, welcome again. Nice to see you again after the beginning of this morning.
Yeah.
So Commodore Malali is a guest speaker, but he's also one of us. He's the immediate past District Commodore for 9th Western. He's also the Deputy National Commodore for Atlantic West. So Tom is going to give us a few words of wisdom here as well today. So that's the only guest I see. If anybody else is on the Zoom that's not a member of 9th Western, please identify yourself.
Got Ralph as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Ralph. Thank you. Ralph,
Indispensable.
welcome back. Normally we would have some representation from Sector Lake Michigan, but I don't see anybody there as of the moment. Hopefully they will come on board soon. So we will then do a little bit of an audible. Normally I would have Captain Montoro go first, but at this point I will turn it over to our Dirox. Commander, take it away.
Hello. So in the Dirox office, I've been there about 6 months, and we've been trying to kind of get a handle on some of the processes that are happening in Dirox. One of the big things initially that we took in the beginning or the end of last year was the record system, and Ralph and the administrative assistants were huge on that. Basically all of aux records are currently in paper form. So National Archives requires them next year, I think, to be all electronic. So that's a huge lift to basically convert every paper file of the auxiliary as far back as we had into electronic versions. So we put a process together for that. I think it's a good shape, and we're moving forward with that. So that being said, there may be some records that I don't know if you have any longtime members, but their paper file, if we find stuff in there as we go along that they might want to keep, we may reach out to them to get them to those members. But most of it will be digitized so that we can move forward from there. That's one of the big things. Other things are just general SOPs, working on an awards SOP, and most recently, as I think is going to probably be the biggest question bringer, is the COVID guidance that I recently promulgated. That was brought on by the new enclosure 13, I believe, of the PROG org. That basically mandated vaccinations. The big thing is it mandates vaccinations for all auxiliary members participating in in-person events. So it's not mandating vaccinations to be a member of the auxiliary. It's just mandating it temporarily for members that are having in-person interactions with the public, with other members of the Coast Guard, including auxiliaries. Because that guidance was there, I wanted to give the auxiliary in D9 a very clear set of guidelines on what's allowed, what's not. So that's why I wrote that memo. All your interactions with assignment to duty units and sectors, stations, those will be driven by those units and those aux flows on what they approve. But if it's something else, then that memo is really what comes in. And I tried to make it, put it down on the chain of leadership and management. So there's kind of 3 sections of it. There's the first one, which can be delegated by the Commodore down to where he sees fit for those approvals for events. And there's a list of events that are approved in that manner. There's a second section, which is more of a risk section there that I want some visibility from the Durox office on, and that includes the big one is in-person meetings for flotillas and divisions, which are allowed now. But again, it has to be all vaccinated members. It needs to be a risk assessment of the area, and the mitigating things to address the risks have to be sent to me. If it's like going to be an ongoing meeting, that one form will serve. If it's a one-time event, obviously it needs a special form. And then the third category there are just the strictly red line prohibited stuff. Things like boat shows, where you have massive amounts of people. The 50-person DHS guidance is still in place. So anytime there's a public event that's over 50 people indoors, that goes all the way to the Secretary of Homeland Security for approval. So it's pretty much a non-starter. So those will be pretty much kiboshed for now. Now, that being said, there is a difference. That's for in-person, like having a member of the auxiliary sitting at a booth in that boat show environment. That can't be done. However, having materials at that boat show for the auxiliary is completely allowed, because there's no public interaction there. You can go in, you can set up your stuff, leave, have the boat show, and then come back and get it. Things like that. Think outside the box on some of those things as you were. But the big thing is no public interactions. And if there's any question, route it up to chain of leadership management, and we'll try to get you an answer on it. But the big thing is on those risk assessments is to make sure that they're filled out and there's some details, so we can gauge whether or not the unit has, or the members have thought about those mitigation factors, so that we can make sure we keep our auxiliaries, our public, and our coaches all safe. The next thing that is coming down will be really a flotilla health assessment, which I've been working with the Commodores on. As many of you know, our flotillas, our auxiliary in general, especially in D9, has been shrinking. So there's a lot of flotillas out there that are barely hanging on with membership. And I put it this way: in order to start a flotilla, you're required to have 15 members. That's the start one. The trigger in the aux manual for probation is 10 members. But a flotilla with 10 members where 5 of them aren't actually active and are just hanging on isn't really a flotilla. It's really 5 members. And we need those flotillas to be robust and able to, do Coast Guard missions. So the onus on this is to try to put some triggers in place so that yearly the different regions can look at their flotillas and determine which ones are struggling and which ones are not. And those struggling flotillas, put them on probation, put a plan in place to either get them out of that struggling situation, or if needed, consider other options. Consider maybe disestablishing that flotilla, combining it with another flotilla, and getting our administrative overhead down in the auxiliary, so that the amount of time we spend on administration is reduced, and the amount of time that volunteers have to do Coast Guard missions is increased. And that's the real goal. I'm not trying to drive out members. I'm not trying to do anything of that sort. What I'm trying to do is right size the actual unit organization within the auxiliary to the member structure that we currently have, the number of members we have. So that's kind of what we're driving for. Should be coming out in the next 2 weeks. I think I've got my first draft pretty well written, and I've been talking to Commodores, and they've also been involved in figuring out what those triggers should be, so that we can move forward in a manner that is fair and also productive. And so that's the goal of that. The other things coming up, and Ralph will probably hit on these a little bit more, is, as you all know, the whole Coast Guard is in a bit, not an uproar, but is struggling a little bit with the new financial system. So we're all trying to figure out the new system, how this is going to be worked out. And we also have we're under a CR right now, so that throws into it too. And in addition to that, we also have the travel system, which wasn't really designed for the auxiliary. It was designed for active duty. So there are some hoops we have to jump through in order to get the auxiliary to be able to work into that system. In the end, the good news is auxiliaries will be able to use the E2 travel system to book their travel, but we need to actually set that up in our office. So every member that needs a travel travel account, we'll have to get it set up through our assistants, either Terry, Frank, or for the Western region, Brad, to get their initial account set up. And then there'll be some am I still there? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, you agreed, Commander.
Yep, I'm plugged in, so my iPad's running out of gas here. So, but they'll have to go through some hoops for training for that, and then once those are done, then the auxiliaries will be able to go in and do their travels. But it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, so you're going to have to bear with us with that. And the last thing I'd like to say is thank you again for all your service to the Coast Guard and to the American public, and it's really appreciated. You are a huge benefit to the Coast Guard's missions all around, and I'm hoping in 2022 we can get to more of a normal year. Well, it's not going to be normal. We're still going to have COVID around, but hopefully we get through this next wave and can see a little bit more light at the end of the tunnel. So that's all I have. Do I have any questions?
Feel free, guys, to open it up for questions for.
I have a question.
Peter, go ahead.
Commander, one question I have is on the enclosure 13 in the first paragraph. It states that DIROXs and OIAs may deviate from this guide as they see fit for their AOR.
Mm-hmm.
What aspects do they have discretion on in terms of all the different recommendations and directives that are in here?
What do you mean as?
Well, a typical example would be for a coxswain or a pilot to go under orders if the OIA felt that this was, I'm talking about people who are unvaxxed. If they thought that this was a safe mission from the COVID perspective, would they have the discretion to allow assignment to duty or orders for that pilot or coxswain, even if it involved unvaccinated auxiliaries?
I would say no. The guide from the Coast Guard is that if you have in-person contacts, you need to be vaccinated. So there's never going to be a situation. It's a risk game assessment here. So there's never going to be a situation where an auxiliarist has to go out and do a mission or people are going to die. That's just not what the auxiliary does. That's the kind of situation where maybe an OIA would consider something like that, but the auxiliary is not going to be in that boat. So, the guidance is to allow us to make decisions based on what makes sense, but the vaccination mandate for in person is in place, and it's a temporary thing. We're not driving people out of the auxiliary because they're not unvaccinated. This is a temporary restriction on in-person interactions until we can get through this situation.
May I ask or kind of add to that?
Go ahead, Sean.
We have a member that when we presented this at the division meeting recently is a cancer survivor and has a medical reason that he can't have the vaccine. And he was very upset that and we said it was temporary, of course, but he was very upset that there was not some type of
Waiver.
Some type of waiver, some type of exception for him.
Yep.
And I said that I would, appropriately find out what was going on with that. So could you address that possibly?
Yep, I do know that BSX is working through a process for waivers based on certain criteria. I don't know where that is. They just have let us know that they are considering that and looking at that. But currently, the guidance is what it is.
Thank you.
Peter,
John Saran, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. And Commander, as part of the sort of review of the flotilla health and looking at the members in each of the flotillas, are there considerations for, how to address members that just pay dues and do nothing else, or let's say be in AP status for years? I know sometimes it's just wondering if looking at that as well.
That's part of the driver of this. The auxiliary is a service organization. We want people to serve. So I have no issue with someone doing that, but if you want to, just be a member, be a dues paying member, connect to a flotilla that is an active flotilla. Don't be connected to one that is only 10 members, that's just barely hanging on, because that just raises the administrative overhead and prevents leadership development for the future. So
Makes sense. Thank you, Commander.
Okay, I
Tim
see,
Cooper, you had your hand up next.
Tim had his hand up first, and then after Tim, Sonny.
if you don't mind, give me 1 second. I gotta grab a chart here to make sure my iPad doesn't die. It looks
Okay.
like it's
No
all right.
problem.
Need be, I'm here too, so I can always fill in for a minute.
Awesome.
Hey, Harvey, I've got a quick question maybe you can answer while Commander's off doing his charger thing. The in-person thing that the Commander was talking about. So in-person means with other auxiliaries, not just the public, correct?
Well, I think in person means in person, and then you have to stratify that further to define what you're talking about. For example, in section 7 of the memo, those are the restricted in-person activities, and they're mostly talking about the public interaction and talking about large numbers of people. Whereas if you look at the other section 5 in particular, those in-person activities such as a public education class, now you've got a mix of auxiliary and the general public. So I think it begins with just the flat out definition. What is in person versus virtual? And then you take
One thing I was thinking about, Commodore, was, especially if you think about like a boat class, right? You have members of the public, 15 people in a room. We obviously can't ask those public members if they're vaccinated, right? So that's and it's almost as if it's kind of a roll of the dice there.
Yep. And that's partially why the mandate is in place, to ensure that at least there is some form of protection with the auxiliary, so that the member that is giving that training is vaccinated. And then when you do those public education events, you should be following all those requirements for social distancing, masking, etc.
And that's the mitigation that we're looking for in the forms that those examples, I should say, of mitigations that should be listed in the forms for risk assessment.
Yep, and those are for like one time. So the typical public education event, that's at the chain of leadership level. Those will happen fairly often. I don't need to look at all of those. Those aren't. That's something you do on a regular basis. I expect you to take the appropriate precautions that are required for that. It's the more one-off ones, like boat shows, things like that are kind of out of the box, not a typical normal situation that we need to take a look at. And then the other point is just the meetings, so that we have a good idea when these are happening, since there's so many of them.
Right.
Does that answer the question there, John? John, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, it does. Thank you.
How about Tim? We have Tim's hand up.
Yes, good morning, Commander. Thank you for being here. My question is, you stated that the vaccine mandate is going to be a temporary thing. Is there any sort of sense of how long that temporary mandate is going to last? And then I have another question that's not related to this, but I'd like to ask at the same time.
I'll answer the first one. We can go with the second one. There's no indication from BSX, as you know, it really depends on how long this keeps going on. So it's determined on that. And I can't give you any more. I can't give you, hey, it's going to be 2 months or 3 months or 4. It's going to be until we are at a risk level where it makes sense to lower it.
I understand. Thank you very much. Secondly, when you were talking about the flotilla health reports, and I know there are a number of cases where, flotillas have members that are not active anymore, may have been active 20 years ago, but are now 80 years old and not able to be active, but they still want to pay their dues to support their flotilla, basically. How is that going to figure in to your health assessments, especially of the smaller flotillas? Because I know even some of the smaller flotillas have people who want to retain their membership and pay their dues to support their flotillas.
And I completely understand that. And that is a balance that we have to make. But when a flotilla is not performing at the level it needs to be, we will look at different solutions for that. It may be a disestablishment based on what's happening with it. It may be merging it with another flotilla, and it may be making it a detachment flotilla of another flotilla. But no one that wants to continue that will be driven out of the auxiliary. That's not the goal of this. The goal is to make sure that the unit organization of the auxiliary is the most efficient for getting done what we need to get done. And I explain it like this. I know there's a lot of history on different flotillas, and people get connected to those. But if you look at the military, there have been a lot of units in the military that are no longer around. And we adapt to what is the most useful for the organization, and that's what we need to do here as well. And that's kind of where I'm coming from and where I'm trying to drive it. I'm trying to do it in a fair manner, in a manner that is clear, so that we can all work together to get there. Does that answer the question there, Tim?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Okay, how about Sunny? You're up.
Good morning, Commander. My question is actually pretty similar to Tim's first question, as far as diving a little bit further into the temporary nature of these new guidelines. Essentially, will BSX make the call that conditions have changed, or has that been delegated to the district commanders? Just thinking how we have 4 states that comprise this 9th Western region, and throughout this entire episode, the states have had disparate responses and levels of success containing the pandemic. So I just wanted to know, essentially, are there metrics that triggers a change in policy?
Mm-hmm. There are none that I have been told at this point. So that comes down from BSX on where they make their determination. My goal in sending that memo out was to just give you clear guidance from D9 on what we expected, how we interpreted it, and how we want to move forward. So that was my goal in giving that, because I know that the guidance is all over the place depending on which state you are. But that's what we expect in the auxiliary in District 9. I will, as soon as I know if something changes, I will make that available. But for now, that's where we're at, and I don't have a timeline on it. That helps, Sammy?
Yes, it does. Thank you, sir.
Okay, are there any other questions while we have Commander here? COVID or other things, flotilla health, a lot of things coming at us in 2022. Okay, Ralph, would you have a few words of wisdom for us as well?
Thank you, Commodore. Appreciate that. Yeah, so it's great to be here with everybody today on a snowy Saturday morning. It's fantastic. I love it. Look forward to getting back and out eventually here and seeing everybody. I have a feeling that's going to come at some point in 22. So look forward to that. Things that are happening in the office, as Commander touched on a little bit too, we're working with the electronic travel system. The new system is a pretty robust system. However, as Commander did state, it really was designed, and it was designed for the active duty component. And it really didn't include much of how we get the auxiliary into that program. So there's some good workarounds that we discussed with BSX, with PPC on how to do that. And our admin assistants are in the fold at doing that. Commodore, we appreciate your help in getting us the list of priority folks that may be traveling in the future. That's going to help. I added some folks that unfortunately with the postponement of the national training event, we'll be hopefully maybe getting some orders in the future here at the upcoming event in March or whenever they decide to do that. So it's going to require a little bit of work and a little bit of back and forth and working with Brad, who is the admin assistant for the Northwestern region, and getting out in front of it early and making sure that we understand exactly what needs to be done on the auxiliary side and then within the house at the DIROC side. But I think if we prepare for it like everything else, I think it should be a smooth transition. Yesterday, I was fortunate enough, I got a little one-on-one training with the financial management system, which is fantastic. And I know that Jason, the DIROX, is not here with us today. I will touch on a little bit about how it looks like they've run some tests within aux data. I guess the big thing for orders was that it was not talking. aux data and the new FMS system, the financial management system, did not talk to each other. So they had to go in and play around with some of the accounting strings. It's supposed to, and it was designed to, but it just didn't, because there was some information that was in those accounting strings that was a little bit off. So they were able to hopefully rectify that. And I think that should be moving ahead. The last I heard was last Monday that they were running those tests. I do not know the outcome of the tests. Which I guess maybe no news is good news, possibly. So we'll see. We'll see as we move forward with that. From a PPE perspective and purchasing some SAR gear and the requirements there, the financial management system should be pretty straightforward. I think we're going to work with Jason as far as how we're going to do that as an organization. Meaning the auxiliary, right? How are we going to figure out what we need? I think it'll probably stay the same. We'll have the flotillas working at the unit level to try to figure out what members are finished with their tabletop stuff and what they're looking for as far as SAR bags and life jackets and vests and PLBs, and we'll get that purchased through us. So I think it's probably at least the first few months will look like it'll be hey, this is what we need. Can you order it? And I will create the PR at the DIROX level and submit it for approval instead of it going from the rescue and survival petty officer at the unit like it did last year through to us for approval. So some small nuances there I think that we have to look at possibly changing depending on how the setup plays out with the FMS system and the approvals and stuff like that too. So I think we've got a good grasp on it. We are working under a continual resolution, right? We have a CR in place. Our financial budget for PPE will be about the same district wide. It'll probably be about 100,000, maybe a little bit more. Last year we spent a little bit more because, as everybody knows, right, we had the PLBs that had to get ordered. We're hoping that folks have identified that issue if they have any PLBs this year that are coming due and are standing by loaded and ready to roll once we get a green light to go ahead and start putting in PRs in the FMS system, which I predict will be next week. I think that they'll have everything. They're still using the cutover accounting string for everything that was purchased in the downtime, if that makes sense. Yeah, right. So the time between when the fiscal year ended and the old program was shut down till now, people have been purchasing stuff, and they've been purchasing stuff via credit card and a piece of paper. And now they have to take all those pieces of paper that have that financial information and get it into the systems. And once that's complete, that's when we'll have the green light and the thumbs up to go ahead and move forward with that. Awards. So I do have on my desk, thank to Jen Austin. I know you're out there. Thank you. I appreciate it. We have the operational service awards that are ready to be signed and collect the hardware, and they will be sent out for distribution to the members. They have been updated in the Aux Data 2 system. So everybody with last year from 2018, it looks like from 2018 to current, has been updated with their VE, PE, their ops, the M's, the S's, the O's, all that good stuff. Your RBS stuff is ready to roll. We're also coming up on membership awards, right? So December was the deadline. So we're working on those, trying to stay within the guidelines of our new awards SOP and the timeline distribution for that stuff. So hopefully we can accommodate and we didn't sell ourselves short on the deadlines. I think that is basically where we are at. Brad has been doing a great job, right? We got some disenrollments and we've got some enrollments. So that's been good. That's been keeping him busy. He's up to speed. I think we've got a handle now on the Western Region's ID card program. So I think that's been going very well. And if anybody has any concerns for me, I would love to hear about them. I do want to congratulate Pam Jakara. Is that how I say it? Is that right? Jakara?
Jarka.
Jaka. I spoke to her the other day at length about taking over for Paul Newmiller in the DSO IS position. Very excited about that. We have a DSO IS call on Monday evening for the, Tuesday evening for the ISs, which I think will be great. We're going to include the ADSOs, which will be fabulous. And I think that's gonna provide some guidance, some help, and give us an opportunity to talk about some of the aux 10 issues, some of the FSO and SOIS position issues that we've been having, and give everybody a clear way forward. So we're excited about that. That's actually something rather new. So, and that's it. I think next week I would also like to talk to the chief of staffs as a group. I think that's been beneficial. I think a lot of good information has been coming from that. And if anybody has anything for me, I'd gladly entertain a couple of questions. No? Okay, that sounds good. No.
I have a question.
Of course. There he is. How you doing, Pete? It's good to see you.
Real good. Thank you. I have a question about this ALAC credential, this
Okay.
auxiliary logical access credential. That was requested back in March, and finally in October of last year, the special agent from the FBI contacted me, and I still haven't heard anything. It's coming up on a year now since that credential was requested for watch standing, and I was just wondering if any progress has been made.
No, that's interesting. So now, and this is you've worked on this with Brad, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I'm just writing it as I'm speaking. So normally, no, the process normally isn't this long. I will take this back to Brad on Tuesday and let him know if he can give it a quick peek and maybe give you an update. And who is the supporting or the requesting unit for this?
This is Station Sturgeon Bay.
Okay.
Master Chief Olson.
Okay. Yep. I know. Just. Okay.
Ralph,
Yes.
I had this issue at, so Station Wilmette Harbor obviously is seasonal now, and Kenosha Harbor is now, Station Kenosha is now full-time, but we were up at a Christmas party, and they're having the same problem. I was talking to the station chief. They're having the same problem with the watch standers there that needed the ALAC, and that hasn't come through.
Okay. So the big thing, so a couple of things that generally tend to cause this. I certainly don't know what the situation is. And if you can send that to me, and then I'll send it over to Brad just so we can kind of put some visibility on it. Some of the things that this tends to be is that the supporting unit, right, they're the requester, and then they move forward with it once it's been approved. There are certain timelines that need to be adhered to. Once we fall outside that timeline, then that system will shut itself down. So the big thing on that is that the member requesting the ALAC card, once is approved, they have a certain amount of time to get the ALAC card and then to get into the system, log on, and do some training. If for some reason that there's a breakdown somewhere in that chain, that could reset that process. And then it may not be, it might be hard for Brad to recognize that that's happening. So sometimes good communication is always the key with this stuff. I will bring that back. Sean, if you could just maybe if reach out to those members that are having issues and let me know, and then we can kind of touch base with that.
Absolutely.
That would be great. And then obviously to Pete, Mr. Kapinski, we will take a look, and I will speak to Brad. I will send that over Tuesday morning when I see him. I'll let him know.
Hey, Ralph, this is Dan Grindike.
Hey, Dan, how you doing?
Good. We have a member at Station Grand Haven that is a watch stander and is having the same issue with the card. So I just wanted to let you know. I actually talked to them yesterday on the phone.
Do you know who it is? If you can give me a name, I can, when I talk to Brad, I can give him the name, and he can just do a quick check within the system.
Her name is Ellen Del Rosa Pern, and I can email you.
So guys, I'm perceiving a pattern here. Okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing it as well.
So here's what I would like to suggest. These are all related to watch standing at stations and units around the sector. So I would ask that everybody who's running into this problem send a note to Tom Buck, who's our sector coordinator, and all the AUCs report to Tom. So if I could assign that mission to Tom to collect all the data that Ralph needs, names, places, dates, times, whatever else you think is necessary to track this thing down. I'm going to ask Tom to be the central point of contact, if that's okay with all of you guys. And please check with your AUCs around the sector, all the stations, and let's come up with a concise list that Ralph can work from.
That'd be great. I appreciate that, Commodore. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Pete, I'll still bring your stuff up to Brad on Tuesday, though.
Thank
Tom?
you. I just want to mention that I've never been convicted of a felony. Never convicted.
Okay, fair enough. I appreciate that heads up. Thank you.
But he is on the watch list.
That's right. Yeah.
And he's now made that very public.
TMI.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
That's great. Anybody else?
Let me just confirm with Tom. Tom Buck, are you okay? Did you catch all that?
Yes, sir, I did.
All
It's
right.
all good.
Appreciate it.
All
You
good.
have your
Thank you.
you have your network of AUCs to reach out to, and let's see if we can put this one to bed once and for all.
Roger that.
All right, Ralph. Anything else?
No, but I'm touching on that ALAC card too. It is possible that it might not even be Brad that's doing this, because when Frank and Johnny were here, they were the trusted agent, so it still kind of stays under them. So it's possible that Frank could still be dealing with this too. So that'll be good if I can get that list from Tom, and then that'll be better that way for sure. So yep, absolutely. Anything else?
Other questions for Ralph? Okay, hearing none. Thank you so much, Ralph. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Commodore, thank you. And thank you everybody in the Ninth Western for continuing to be out there and do good work. And I can't say it enough how I really appreciate supporting those that support the Coast Guard. So thank you very much.
We thank you and all the guys in the office in Cleveland. Okay.
Certainly let them know.
I'm scanning the participant list. I still don't see anybody from sector. Am I correct in that captain is not here? Deputy, I don't see anybody. So maybe we had some wires crossed. I'm not sure what happened. I did have confirmation that they were going to join us today, but Who knows? There could be some emergency going on down there, so we don't know.
I don't see their names either, Harvey, so.
Okay, so we're gonna move on with the agenda. Next up will be DNACO Atlantic West, Tom Mullally. He will be giving us some updates from National.
All right, thank you.
It's all yours.
Thank you, Harvey. One thing you might be aware of is there is a tsunami warning on the entire West Coast. That might or might not have a reason why sector's not here right now.
Good point. Good point.
All right. Good morning, Nice Western. Home base for me. Thank you. I'll start out with a report that Harvey submits. Every quarter, I need to get a report from every Commodore that I have. I have 6 Commodores reporting to me. And I want to let everybody know that Harvey does a great job relaying the information of what you guys are all doing in the district. I have to pass that up to not only the National Commodore, but the BSX and a whole host of other people. And those are now being posted on the national website, those reports. So just so you know, Harvey's doing a great job representing you. So thank you, Harvey, again. N-Train is postponed, not canceled. So we're going to have it. Can't tell you when, can't tell you where, but I know National Commodore Molesky said we are not canceling this. It will only be postponed. So there's supposed to be C schools in that as well. So hopefully that will be within a short period of time. We're going to see. Harvey, along with myself and all your Commodores, will be on a conference call this Tuesday evening coming up. So we'll find out more then. Okay. Chaplains, still looking for chaplains. As I stated before, I know we're not all heathens out here in Nice Western. So please, when you go to the house of worship, wherever it may be, ask if you got some your religious folks, the priests, the rabbis, the ministers, anyone who believes in somebody else. See if we can get them on. We really need more chaplains. They're commandant and vice commandant are all in awe of everything they're doing. So, really sit there and try to get a chaplain if we can. Health services, still looking for doctors, nurses, specialized practices. Again, health services definitely, again, with this COVID as well, and inoculations and everything, they're taxed big time. So please, if you have anybody in health services, when you go for your annual checkup, hey, my insurance is going to pay for you. Hey, here's the application. Fill this out. So, make sure we try to get those people on board. All right. Navigator and Navigator Express. These are national publications. You have currents. Harvey's doing a great job maintaining your DSO PB is doing a great job, but we have national as well. So please, if you got something that's worthy, if you can't write it, have somebody else write it. You can put your still name on there, co-authored by, but send it up. And Harvey, please express that if you can, down to your division commanders and all the way down to deck plate. I mean, even over hard water, COVID right now in this area doesn't really make a whole lot of difference because we're not going out doing a whole lot. But there are some things that we can do. All right, and that's why I want to blow your own horn. Be creative. All right. There are going to be 10 changes when we have N-Train. There are going to be 10 nominations for changes to the aux manual or different additions to the auxiliary. Just want to make you aware those 10 things will be brought up. Harvey and Sonny will be involved in the approval process for those. So just be advised that they're out there. That's all. aux PA 1, 2, and 3 are all under rewrites in the BSX for review. So if you're going to have anybody that's going to become a PA person under the old regime, have them do it now, but it's going to be changing. It might be a little harder. So just heads up. All right. That being said, aux op. Since COVID started, we have exploded the aux op program. And that is because of the fact there's no proctoring right now. We have, I think, almost 400% increase in aux ops personnel. It is phenomenal. But again, it's a perfect opportunity to use online training and get your certification. Remember, you get your little pin here. Great education material. That being said, the aux op courses are being rewritten. And right now, 4 of the 6 are already done. The last 2 being done right now is aux weather and aux SAR. and those are being rewrite also, but the other ones are already out. So please, if you want, now is the perfect time to get that up, credential. With that being said, we do have mandatory training in this year, 2022. And on the Auxiliary National Member Training website, we have a link as well as the RBS website. Surface operations will be mandatory. Aviation will be mandatory. Telecommunications will be mandatory. VE is not, but those three I just mentioned. So have your SOMTs, start downloading that material. It's on, again, the Auxiliary Member Training website as well as the RBS website, okay? And other than that, I made it quick, Harvey. Keep that break time inside.
Not a problem. Any questions for Commodore Mullally?
Commodore, this is Scott. What were those 3 workshops again?
Sure. Your surface operations, aviations, telecommunications. One of UNS.
Got it.
Those are
All
all
right.
mandatory.
Those
This
are
year.
all mandatory this year. Because,
Got it.
and the reason they're mandatory because we haven't been out recently because of the shutdowns and stuff. So we're saying, okay, time to brush off the dust, get this done.
All right, very good. Last call for questions for Commodore Mullally. If not, we're moving on. And the next up on the agenda is a few communications and notices that I want to share with you guys. The chain of leadership and management has gone through a few changes in 2021 and coming into 2022. We've had a little bit of hail and farewell since our last board meeting. And I'd just like to take a moment to acknowledge and welcome new officers. For example, we have John McDonald, who is our newly elected Division 43 DCDR, replacing Tom Matt. Tom Matt, farewell to you and thank you so much for your service. Staff officers, a couple changes there. Welcoming John Barserman, who replaces John Saran as our DSO PB. Jeff Bailey, who is replacing Roy Bonus as our DSOAS. And then we have Pam Jarka, who's changing roles. She's been with the staff all of last year as an SR. Now she's moving over to IS, replacing Paul Newmiller. So welcome you guys to your new roles and to the staff. And then also, again, nice job and thank you so much for our departing staff officers. On the AUC side, we have a new AUC, Brian Hinckley at Ant 2 Rivers. And then we're saying farewell to Dave Gaylord from Station Grand Haven. So again, everyone who served us in 2021, we appreciate what you've done. And there are now several vacant offices out there. If you are interested, check the OneDrive. You'll see the PDF, which gives you all of the reporting relationships starting at the top, going down to committees, and you'll see little help wanted signs next to offices that are vacant. So if you feel you're qualified, if you have an interest in those jobs, please send up an inquiry via your chain of leadership and management, and we'll be happy to consider qualified candidates. Next up, I want to talk a little bit about the auxiliaries of the year. Our process is changing from last time. We are still in need of at least one candidate per division, or if you have more than one within a division, that's acceptable as well. But all divisions are really charged with identifying your auxiliaries of the year. The criteria that comes from national is well documented in the Auxman. So if you need to spend some time there and figure out exactly how to format the package and all that, that'd be great. There's still some time to do that. This year, we're going to have the XCOM make the selections. The XCOM will select a district winner from the division winners, and we're going to do that at our February meeting. So that brings back the deadline, which I sent out some time ago to the board. February 1st is when I need to see the division submissions make their way to the respective DCAPs. So when the DCAPs come to XCOM, we'll be all prepared to make a final decision. So I've only seen a couple candidates or a couple division winners promulgated so far. So I'm asking that you guys take the next couple weeks to get that done. Really appreciate that. Now, out in the OneDrive folder on awards, I'd like to highlight a couple flotilla anniversaries. Congratulations are in order for Flotilla 3910 on their 50th anniversary, and also for Flotilla 4702 on their 60th anniversary. So congratulations to you guys. Nice work. The certificates have already been mailed out, so let me know if you don't get them. I think by now, Peter and Tim, you should have seen those certificates. And those are ready to be presented to those flotillas at your earliest opportunity.
I do have it, sir.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. And speaking of awards, also you'll find in the folder the district awards from 2019 and 2020. This is a 2-year backlog that's really a result of the COVID shutdown. We give our first place individual award winners some very nice plaques, some nice wooden plaques they can hang on their walls. And the manufacturer who makes those plaques has been shut down due to COVID, and they just recently came back up. And I've been in contact with them. We've made all the arrangements. We got double checked all of the winners for both years, and they have the mailing addresses for these winners. So these plaques, once they are manufactured, they will be delivered directly to the member's home address. So that's going to cost us a little more, but I think it's important to get these to you guys. And I apologize for the delay. You know, some of you have been waiting for over 2 years to get your awards. So you can see the list of winners out on the OneDrive. There's a couple files out there. And for the unit of winners, those are flotillas and divisions. You should have received your streamers previously. They were mailed out last year. Now the streamers fortunately did not have the same problem as the plaques, because we get those streamers from a different company, and those are out. So that's the district awards, and hopefully we'll get back on track here in 2021 and get something going sooner and not have people waiting so long. So I appreciate your patience on that. All right, that's all I have. Are there any questions for me on any of these things that are happening locally within the district? If not, it's about break time. So I'm going to suggest that we're back actually on schedule. So let's take about a 10-minute break. And then when we come back, we'll go into the business section of the meeting.
Harvey, quick little thing, that board meeting in February, you're going to want election runner for that, aren't you, for the AO auxiliaries of the year?
Well, it won't be a board meeting. It'll be an XCOM meeting. So we might be able to handle it without that, Scott. I think we won't need a election runner for that because it's a smaller group of voters.
Okay, let me know if that changes.
I'll let you know. We'll talk about it.
Cool.
Thanks. Okay, John, you can put up our timer or whatever you've got to put us on break, and we'll see you guys at about 11:10. Thank you. Okay, I think it's time to resume. Hopefully everyone is back, I think.
Hey, Harvey, it's Don Montoro. How are you?
Oh, hey, Captain, how are you, sir?
I apologize for my delayed entry. I had another project I was working on and got delayed.
Not a problem. We understand. So
Yeah.
with that, your timing is actually pretty good because we were just about to start the business meeting, but
Okay.
and we're coming back from break. So we'll go ahead and slide you in right now if you'd like to give us a few words of update from what's happening around the sector.
No, so I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. I mean, it's unfortunately 2 years of my tenure. I'll be retiring in June and haven't had the opportunity to do any in-person D-trains or conferences, which has been a huge bummer. But Harvey and Doc Buck and I get to meet monthly, and that's been a real pleasure for me. And you know, I know obviously there's a lot of us that are hunkered down because it's snowing here in Milwaukee, and so opportunity for, I know some of the change of watches weren't able to happen because in person again because of COVID, and you know, just give you some perspective of where we are and the things we're working on at the sector. We have been working with our port partners on addressing issues related to winter layup up in Sturgeon Bay. If you recall, the Roger Blau, which is about 1,000-foot laker, caught fire last winter while in winter layup. It was actually a furnace that malfunctioned and set one of the belts that bring the iron ore out of the ship and onto the ship on fire, and it ended up being a total loss, over $100 million. And so we're working with the shipyard and the fire department and other local agencies to figure out how we can ensure that this doesn't happen in the future. We've had 5 shipboard fires on commercial lakers just in the last 6 years. 3 of them during winter layup, 2 while underway. So obviously a concern. You know, it's interesting because the way that we operate in the Coast Guard is when our ships are in a maintenance period, we always have someone on board, or if we go cold ship, which only happens typically when we're in dry dock, we turn everything off. These ships operate machinery while they take down a lot of their fire detection systems, their fire boundaries, and their fire suppression systems while they don't have anyone on board. So we've been working closely with the district to figure out how to operate these vessels more safely during that winter layup period. You know, I know we recently had an ICS exercise done at the sector. I think there were 3 auxiliarists there, if memory serves me correctly. So, you know, if you're like, where would I fit into something like that? There's typically an incident command post that's established for these fires, and you know, that's where we would fill those positions with, you know, the available personnel, including auxiliarists. I think probably where you'd see auxiliarists is in the check-in, check-out process, probably helping out with some resource issues. And then, you know, we have obviously a lot of auxiliarists that have a lot of technical experience in their day job or in their former life. And so, you know, obviously we plug in where it would be appropriate. Another item that we've been working very heavily on, and actually we have the Cyber Command, Coast Guard Cyber Command's coming. We've just implemented a requirement in the last year that all facilities and vessels have to have amendments to their physical security plans that address cyber concerns. And so obviously that's not something the Coast Guard has really focused on in previous years. So this is a new mandate, and the Coast Guard's just trying to come up to speed on how to implement these amendments and ensure that they're meeting the mark and keeping these vessels and these facilities safe. I think we had just last year alone over 500 significant attacks on the maritime transportation system. And so I know, talking with Harvey, we have a lot of auxiliaries that have technical expertise, cyber expertise. And so I know that Cyber Command and the district is interested in identifying those auxiliaries that have cyber expertise and helping them educate Coast Guard members on, what it is we need to do. I think we have a way forward, but obviously we're always in need of additional assistance in this regard. As far as our vessels are concerned, we've all of our boats are out of the water at this point. We're obviously, many of them have been winterized. We have a couple strategically located throughout the sector that are available in the event that we had a national security level issue that needed to be addressed. But by and large, our boats are out of the water. Sturgeon Bay last weekend, I don't know if you guys saw the news, but we had 30 rescued off of ice drift up in Sturgeon Bay's AOR. This was, I think, in my time here, this is our third large mass rescue operation up in Sturgeon Bay. They oftentimes sound a lot more dramatic than they really are. In fact, sometimes we have difficulty getting the folks off the ice because they still want to fish. It sounds pretty exciting, but in reality, it's probably a little less exciting than you might think. Or maybe for those of you who ice fish, you might think it's really not much of a big deal either. We're going to have a pretty large shakeup as far as command officer OINC at the stations. We're losing the OINC up in Manistee this year. He's rotating out. We have Station Michigan City is rotating out. Station Milwaukee, Daryl Strickland is retiring. Master Chief Irwin is moving on from Sheboygan. He's headed down to Panama City. And of course, Master Chief Olson up in Sturgeon Bay is headed to Duluth. I guess it's not cold enough in Sturgeon Bay. He needed to go to Duluth instead. So he's excited about that opportunity. So, and then obviously I'll be retiring. It looks like my retirement ceremony / change of command will be June 24th, which is a Friday. So hopefully we'll be getting those invitations out to auxiliary leadership here in the next several weeks. The inbound member is Captain Seth Parker. It's interesting, Seth relieved me in San Diego, so he's kind of following me around. I just had the first opportunity to meet Seth last week or 2 weeks ago in San Diego. He's a super nice guy, very personable, very knowledgeable, knows a lot about sector operations, and very well suited for this job. He's, typically, if you guys have kind of tracked, most of the folks that come in to fill the sector position here have more of a response / small boat operations background. They tend to send their prevention officers to larger industrial ports like Houston, LA, New York, and then the Key West and Lake Michigan are ones that typically get your operators. So he's definitely in that vein. So he'll be doing this should be plug and play and fire and forget. We should be all set on that front. That's pretty much it. I really appreciate the opportunity to serve with all of you and to get to know many of you better, and happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thanks, Rand. Thanks, Harvey.
Very good. Thank you, Captain. And we are going to miss you. It seems like it was just yesterday you got here, and already you're headed out. So, but it's been a pleasure working with you. And if it's possible, since you're leaving in June, you probably will still be around to join us for our spring e-train and board meeting. So if you wouldn't mind marking your calendar for that, we'd like to have you back one last time, if that's okay.
It'd be my pleasure. Thanks, Harvey.
Awesome. Does anyone have any questions for the captain while we have him? Lots of things happening in Lake Michigan and other areas of the Coast Guard. So now's your chance to get your questions answered. Okay. Well, hearing none, it is time to move into the business section of the meeting. For all of our guest speakers, Captain, Commander, Ralph, you are welcome to stay around and stick around and listen to our Robert's Rules of Order section of the meeting. But if you have other commitments today, we certainly understand if you drop off. And I just want one last time, I want to just thank you guys for taking time out of your busy Saturday mornings and addressing us and giving us all these updates. Appreciate that very much. Okay, I was scanning through the participant list and I think everybody came back from break. So I'm going to declare that we do still have a quorum. And then we're going to go ahead and move into the first order of business, which is acceptance of the October 16th, 2021 minutes. Everyone should have those. They are all out and available on the OneDrive account. If you want to scan them real quick, go right ahead. But it is time to call for to entertain a motion. So does anyone want to move that we accept the minutes?
So moved.
Okay, I heard Peter Kapinski move. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Craig Feldy and a couple others, but we'll give Craig the credit. All right. So are there any changes, additions, deletions that anyone would like to bring up at this time? Hearing none, I will call for the question and please respond nays only. Nays only. Who is not in favor of accepting the minutes of 16 October 2021 as written? Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next order of business is the finance report. And I believe I saw Todd Nitz join us. Todd, are you with us?
Yep, I had to unmute. I'm here.
All righty, the floor is yours, sir.
All right, well, thank you, Harvey. My report will consist of profit loss for 2021 and our balance sheet, which I generated on January 12th. Those documents are all on the OneDrive. If you'd like, I can read through every number or you could just approve it. What would you like, Commodore?
Well, we actually don't need to approve the financial report, but the board has access to that. They have, the OneDrive is out there. So I would just turn it over to questions from the board members.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
About profit and loss and balance sheet. Okay, I'm not hearing any questions about P&L and balance. So we will move on to our old business. I have no old business in my
Harvey,
files.
I've got a couple more things for finance, if I may.
Sure, go right ahead.
Well, thank you. Will we be voting on the budget at this time or later?
We will. In fact, we might as well go right there because, as I mentioned, no old business. And the only item of new business I have is the 2022 budget approval. So,
and then at some point, I'd like to speak about the Anderson grant application process whenever you think it's appropriate. Thank you.
Why don't you go ahead and do that now?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. As you all know, their Anderson Fund generates interest, and that interest is awarded as grants. Last year, we earned a 1.25% interest on that monies, and there was some residual left over. So we are offering 4 grants for $79.41 this year. So that application period is open now, and it closes March 31st. So please let your units know that they may apply for that. that's all I have on Anderson Grant. Thank you.
Very good. John McDonald, would you please share your screen so that we can take a quick look at the budget? And I'll have Todd walk through that.
Okay.
And
So,
there we have it.
We worked out this year's budget. We started out hoping for 2D trains, and then we changed direction, and we proposed a budget for 1D train. It's a zero balance budget based on our membership and full collection of dues of $33,575. We are planning on conference income and expenses. So it is a zero-based budget, and any specific questions would be welcome. Other than that, you can read it for yourselves and act.
Okay. So you guys have all had the opportunity to see the budget. There's nothing remarkable in there from my perspective. It looks like a, no unusual expenses, nothing out of the ordinary that I can see. However, I will at this time call for or I'll entertain a motion to accept, and then we'll open it up for discussions.
Commodore, I move to approve the budget.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Second.
There's a second there. I think the motion came from Sonny and the second came from, help me out, was it Peter?
Yeah.
Peter and Malali.
Peter and Malali. Okay, take your choice. All right, now let's open it up for discussion. Any questions from the board? This is the board. This is your time to look at how our finances are going to be spent in 2022. And Todd is here with all of his books and data. So feel free to fire away. John, could you shrink that a little bit? You got it at 150.
Like make it bigger so you can see it better.
No, let's drop it to like 100. Drop it to like 100%.
Yeah. The Zoom thing keeps popping up over my controls here. There we go.
There you go. One more thing. All right.
So it looks like that gives me.
So one thing I'll note, we try to keep visibility to the last 5 years of budget activity. And so the one you saw at our last January meeting last year was 2017 to 2021. So 2017 has dropped away and we're now looking at 2018 to 2022. As Todd mentioned, this is a 1D train budget. Thanks to COVID, we were not able to go forward with our plans for an in-person D train. So we are pivoting to an E train in the spring of this year. So March timeframe, we'll be doing a E train and a virtual board meeting. So we do have a balanced budget. That's the little green zero you see at the lower right-hand corner. That's always our goal. We try to do that. We don't always hit a balanced budget when we start the year off, but Todd gave it a great shot, and we think we have things fairly well tied out. So again, there's not too much outstanding to talk about here. Dues based on our current membership. Starting at the beginning of the year, we had 829 members. So dues have remained constant from national all the way down to district. So the assessments that we will be paying national are based on, what is it, Todd? Is it $24 per member? Is that right?
That's correct. That's what we send to national.
Right. And then, of course, the district dues have not changed. So last call for discussion. Thank you, John. At this point, I will call for the question. And again, we will only accept nay votes. So rather than ask for all in favor, we're going to say all opposed. Okay, going once, going twice. I think we have a unanimous budget approval. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate that. And of course, we have started spending money, which we always do in January. So now, the agenda is really at its close now. I will open it up to closing remarks. We have a little time. So for the board members only, would you guys like to say a few words? Or any last minute questions? I see John has his hand up. Go ahead, John.
Thanks, Commodore. I just want to say a quick thanks to all the divisions that participated in the Christmas tree ship event. It was a tremendous success. We had folks, in the galley, we had giving tours, we had a fellowship tent that we set up for active duty and reserve and sort of everyone involved. It was highly publicized. We have, obviously, your district currents covered it. It's going to be on the cover of NAVX coming out here just in a few days. And there's also a MyCG article that was sent and posted to the entire Coast Guard on Christmas Eve. So just a quick BZ to all those involved. And it was a great success for an event, during the winter months.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. That was an awesome comeback from the last few years where we've been COVIDed out of our normal activities. And that currents article was fantastic. So it's gotten a lot of press all over the Coast Guard and the auxiliary. So thank you to all members who participated in Christmas tree ship this year. Thank you very much. Other remarks?
Commodore, I would just like to thank everybody who's worked on the district end of things this year. The last 2 years have been tough, but we've managed to keep it together and keep moving forward. And I would also like to thank the folks in the 3 divisions that I cover as DCAP East, 31, 33, and 35 for all of their tenacity and willingness to keep pushing through despite the challenges we faced. It's been a humbling and honoring experience being with them the last couple of years.
Great, very good. Anyone else?
If I could.
Go right ahead, Sean.
I had a whole thing here, but really, Commodore Malala used to say that our pay grade is volunteer, but we're professionals. And I'm really excited that with Commander Gibson's initiatives, that I think that we're going to bring it back to that, and more so. It's been a tough couple of years, but to have a more mission focused auxiliary and really get back to serving the American people and American like he was saying last night. So I think his initiatives are going to be outstanding, and I'm really excited about it. So that's all. And I think that we can get back to being servant leaders and mentors this year. I think it's fantastic. So.
Awesome. Other remarks? I do have one reminder for the division commanders relative to change of watches. We have had three of our divisions are past the time where they normally would do them. And so now we are faced with the remaining 6 divisions dealing with planning their change of watches under the new COVID guidance. So I'm aware of one. I'm aware of Division 37, but the others I have not heard or seen any indication of where you guys stand. So please take into consideration the new COVID guidance and go ahead and get your plans organized and together, and then communicate that to all of us, especially to Tom Buck, who needs to keep sector advised as to what's going on. Sector is very gracious in joining us, no matter what the format might be, whether it be virtual or in person, and they always have great things to share with us at our change of watches. So please keep Tom in the loop as you formulate your plans. There's a hand right there, Craig. Go right ahead.
Yeah, record of thanking our Oxlow at MSU Chicago, Lieutenant Fortin, has been invaluable. He has really done a great job. And I want to make sure I give him a shout out, and also the whole command of MSU, Commander Preston, Lieutenant Commander Zinn. So I'm thankful for all of their assistance and their help with the change of watch too. Thank you.
Excellent. And he's new, right? The name, when I saw his name listed on your last email, I didn't recognize it. So is he just on board or what?
Or last August.
Okay.
He's an Alabama fan, so I forgive him. But one of our old exos at MSU is a big Georgia guy, Matt Doris. So it was just fun having a hard time with him. But thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
Yeah, Lieutenant Fortis made it a point to reach out, I think, to all of the divisions that MSU Chicago has anything to do about, and inquire about the change of watches, and make sure that he let all the division commanders know that he was available to us, and open up opportunities to train with them this coming year. So it was very nice of him. He's very proactive.
Peter.
I'd like to take a minute to just recognize that there are some auxiliaries, some who are quite active and quite award-winning volunteers that are very frustrated with this new directive regarding mandatory vaccination. And I think it's, personally, I'm triply vaxxed. I don't have a problem with it, but I want to recognize that some people seem to be very appropriate reasons are not interested in becoming vaxxed. And I think we need to keep the pressure on the leadership in the active duty to say that putting this through without contingency plans for people who might be, say, allergic to the vaccine or for some other reason are not interested in getting it, it is a detriment to our ability to fulfill our missions. And hopefully Mother Nature will take care of this pandemic very quickly. But I would urge the leadership, especially the senior leadership, to recognize the frustration of these unvaxxed members who have done an excellent job in contributing and are now sidelined because of that. So I just want to recognize that and urge us to keep them on the radar screen, and hopefully this error of not recognizing the contingency plans is corrected. Again, hopefully Mother Nature will take care of it and we'll be back at full strength. But right now, I see big problems about being able to fulfill the mission on the water and in several other ways. Thank you, Commodore.
Point well taken, Peter.
Can I address that real quick?
Certainly.
Thank you, Peter. And if we have those situations that we are aware of, please send them up the chain of leadership and management to Commodore so he can make me aware of them, and then I can bring those to BSX so it can inform how they roll out whatever they decide to do in that manner. I will bring that up so that they are aware of it. I know they are working on it, but sometimes the wheels of BSX turn slow, and I'm trying to do what we have with the guidance we have right now. So,
excellent point. And I'm going to ask our leadership to be aware and to be sensitive and to intervene when you are made aware of auxiliaries who are reacting to this guidance. I've already been made aware of 2 resignations, and I would consider them to be knee-jerk reactions. Let's face it, we shouldn't make decisions about our future auxiliary career or whether or not we're going to stay in the organization or change jobs, or change offices or whatever, in a hasty way. We should give the members the recognition they deserve of their issues. We should definitely listen, and also bring up to the commander's point, bring that to the attention of senior leadership. I don't want to lose members because they got mad, because they got upset and they just, stormed away. So, I look to the leadership, all the way down to the deck plate to kind of smooth that out and be there for those members who are reacting, hastily to these, guidelines. So let's try to get folks talked off the edge and assure them that their particular situations will be listened to, and we'll do everything within our power, within our control, to keep them as active, productive members of the organization, even if they don't want to take the vaccine for whatever reason. Okay. All right. I think I don't see any other hands up at this point. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. We got done a little early. That's always good. Nice to give back a few minutes of your Saturday morning, and look forward to accomplishing as much as we can, considering that we are still in this pandemic, and there's, I don't want to make any predictions as to when it'll be over, but we'll have to continue to rise to the occasion and support our members where we can. Our next scheduled board meeting is in the spring. It's actually March 26th. I believe that's right. Yes, March 26th. We will allow more time for the agenda that day because we will be doing a lot more things. We'll be having staff officers join us. We'll be reviewing staff reports. We'll be reviewing elected leadership reports. We'll be doing the recognition of our members who have crossed the bar, and we'll be talking about awards. So plan on a longer meeting, and it will probably be virtual, and we are assuming it will be virtual at this point in time. So you'll hear more about that in the coming weeks. So thank
Harvey,
you. Yes.
Real quick note before you dismiss us. I will be putting the final live link for this on the website as soon as I can, and I will look into converting it to MP3 for Ruth. Excellent.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Scott. So for everybody, have a great day, have a great weekend, and let's hit 2022 as hard as we can and have another good year. Thank you.
Thanks, Commodore. You're gonna ask a motion for.
Yeah, I guess I should do that.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I heard a motion from Commodore Valley. Is there a second?
Second and Jen Austen, I want to swap out my coffee mug
Okay.
for the real thing.
Good for you, Jen. All right. Oh, any nays? Any nays? I don't hear any. Tom is threatening. All right, guys. Have a good